ready. Okay, so now we're starting to get into the more difficult trinomials, the one that will have a number in front of the a. So when we're doing these, you're going to want to say, hey, this is one that has something in front of the x squared. I better get, it's a type 2. I always call these a type 2. The type 1 we did yesterday. There's nothing in front of the a. The type 2s, though, if you look in your quiz today, they had things in front of the a. Oh, so those must have been type 2s. No, because you could factor it out to make it a type 1. So if you could factor it out to make a type 1, do it. Or you might be into too much work. Okay? Now, we're just going to foil one of these to kind of see how it's going to look. Okay? So, well, if we do, remember it's this. So that is 6x squared, right, plus, it's going to be 8x, then plus 3x, plus 4. Okay, which will be 6x squared plus 11x plus 4. Now, the challenge today is not to come up with this, but to be able to come up with this. Okay? I have to be careful what I say now because it's going to be recorded, because I'm going to say some bad things about algebra tiles. But I love algebra tiles. They are the greatest things in the world. I am sad that as a grade 11 teacher, I do not get to teach them. I wish I taught grade 10 just so I could teach algebra tiles. This thing on. Okay. Now, just if you can remember, who can even remember what this means in algebra tile language? Who remembers this? 2x squared plus 7x plus 6. You guys are awesome. Okay? Can you shut that for me? Now, this, remember you were given them and you're like, okay, here it is, make your rectangle. And there was like algebra tile etiquette, remember? You had to start with the big squares first, right? And then you had to do the little ones, or the next size, and then make sure you finish with the ones in the corner, okay? So when you did this, you would read the length and the width. So just reading this part here, what does that look like? 2x plus 3, and the width, I guess, would be x plus 2. Okay? So this does factor to 2x plus 3, x plus 2. Now, like I said, algebra tiles are great, but they do have their limitations when you're at the diploma and you have your algebra tiles out trying to figure these out. Okay? So let's cut to the chase and go over here to this example. Now, you did these last year, right? Yes? Okay, so review. But I even had students that were having challenges with the type 1. Now, again, I want you to look at this. Can I take out a 2? No, okay? Now, I promise you, you will forget to ask that question. You're just going to keep doing these and doing these and doing these. And they turn into this huge, gigantic problems if you could take something out. Now, you can't on this one, so always ask that question. And then we will do the setup. We're looking for 2 things that add to 7 and 2 things that multiply to 12, okay? So remember, we take these a times c, this is a times c gets this number. What would be the signs? So we're going to go with the same routine that I did yesterday. What would be the signs? 2 positives. And they are 4 and 3, 3 and 4, whatever you want. So this would be 2x squared plus 4x plus 3x plus 6. Now don't put plus 12 there. Maybe it's just me, but sometimes I'll put plus 12 at the end because I was doing with that 12, right? I've made that mistake too many times. So double check that really all you've done is split this up. And you know how yesterday we were doing the grouping, and on the quiz today I had a grouping one. Well, that stems from here because all you're doing is you will now group. So what can I take out of common out of the first one? 2x, and that would leave me with x plus 2. Okay, what would I take out of the next one? No, take out a positive 3, because then I can use that plus sign later, right? And that should give me what I already have in the other set of brackets, right? Or else I did it wrong. Okay, and now, just like yesterday, I'm going to take out the x plus 2, and then that is leaving me with the 2x plus 3. And then you can always y1, y2 that, so that you're making sure I have the same graph. Because if I have the same graph, I have the same answer. Or another way you can do is pick a random number, like 1. Substitute it in to the question, substitute it into the answer, you should get the same answer. Okay, there's lots of ways to figure that one out. Okay, let's get into some more challenging ones. So I'm looking for 2 things that add. So I always do it usually beside the question. If I do it underneath, then sometimes I run out of room to do the work, and I have. So I'm looking for 2 things that multiply to negative 18. Okay, so what are my signs? Okay, positive and negative. Now, yeah, you could say negative, positive, but positive, negative, because the positive is going to win. It's going to be bigger, right? So what are my 2 numbers? 18 and negative 1. Good. I think this is probably the greatest challenge for students, because after they have these numbers, it's grouping after that, right? And everybody asks, does it matter which, like, how do you know which order to put it? Should I put the negative 1 with the 6? Or should I put the negative 1 with the 3? It doesn't matter. You'll always get them the same. Okay? So you got 6x squared plus 18x minus 1x minus 3. Okay? So then you put a set of brackets around the first set, and always include the negative sign or the sign with that other one. Okay? Or else weird things will happen. Okay, what can I take out of the first set? 6x, leaving me with x plus 3. Next one, take out a negative 1, leaving me with x plus 3. Okay, that's always good news when you get the same thing twice. And then you take out the x plus 3, open your brackets, and put the other stuff in. And that would be, okay, I screwed something up because it should take out an x. Okay, so that's 6x minus 1. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, now I'm just doing some random ones. B, take out a common factor. Okay, that's why I wanted you to do B, because could you, what plus what equals 5, what times what equals negative 150? You could. You're just into a lot more work, a lot more chance of error, and you're still going to have to take out common factors after. So if I'm taking out a 5, I'll be left with 3k squared plus k minus 2. So much more manageable. And you know what? The bigger the numbers are, usually people make mistakes. So I'm looking for what 2 things add to give me 1 and multiply to give me negative 6. Okay, so first of all, what signs am I dealing with? Positive and a negative. Now what would the numbers be? 3 and 2. Okay, so don't forget about the 5, which sometimes we like to do. And then I'm going to go 3k squared plus 3k minus 2k minus 2. Okay, and then I'm going to do this grouping, then this grouping, I will take out a 3k there. A lot of brackets going on here. And that would be left with k plus 1. Okay, my line of sight's kind of hard to see. So in this one, I will take out a negative 2, won't I? Leave me with k plus 1. Okay, so tons of brackets, but it does get better. It will be 5 big bracket and then a small bracket. The k plus 1 is common between the two. Leave me with 3k minus 2. Yeah. Okay, so let's try and make it where we have trinomials that have extra little variables in there. Okay, so we'll do A here. Now, number one, do it like you've always done it and use common sense how the letters should work, because it's got to look like that thing I started with, okay? Because I could beat this thing to death trying to teach you how to do all the, okay, if you got a y here, next here, you got to do this, this. You'll see how it works when we kind of go through it. Now, all I'm trying to do is split up that negative 5xy at this point. So don't do anything different. It's a negative 5. And then I am dealing with a 4 here, right? Now, I didn't even try to take out anything common right away. Sometimes you could take out an x that's common. Sometimes you could take out a y that's common. Sometimes you can take out a number that's common, which you can here. Okay, what signs am I looking for? 2 negatives. Very good. They are negative 4, negative 1. So it is 2x squared minus 4xy minus 1xy plus 2y squared. Now, all you have to do is, the reason I'm not going to go 4x minus 1x is it wouldn't make negative 5xy. So keep your variables the same. And that's all you really have to think about is when you do that split up, make sure you write those variables the same. And then stop worrying about it anymore. Okay? And then I'm going to group. And when you group, just do it right. And you still don't even have to worry about, doing anything different for the variables. Okay, what could I take out of that first set? 2x. That would leave me with x minus 2y. Okay, and in the other group, well, I'm going to take out a negative 1y, okay, just because I always like a number in front of that. And that would leave me with x minus 2y. Well, isn't that convenient? And then I will write my x minus 2y and leave me with 2x minus 1y. Okay, so again, don't overthink it. That first step, just break up the negative 5xy with the same variables, and you will be fine. Okay. Now, a perfect square trinomial. Now, let's do one so we can actually see what a perfect square looks like. Now, this is the same thing as p plus q times p plus q, okay? Don't say that's p squared plus q squared. It drives me nuts. I don't like math posters, but if I ever had a math poster, it would say p plus q squared does not equal p squared plus q squared, okay? That would be the poster I would get. I don't know if it'd be a huge seller out there in the world, but it would sure help in here, okay? So that is p squared plus pq plus pq plus q squared, which would be p squared plus 2pq plus q squared. Okay, if I was doing p minus q squared, I would get p squared minus pq minus pq plus q squared. That is p squared minus 2pq plus q squared. Okay, now, when you have a perfect square, there is a short way you can do these. Now, I don't even know if I would, worry about that too much, but I just want you to actually look at this and then this. Now, do you see how I have a p plus q squared? How would you always get the first term? In other words, I just want to throw this out and see if someone can get this. If I had 2x plus 3y squared, what would the first term be? 2x squared. Or, not 2x squared actually, it'd be 4x squared. So how did you get that? What went on in the old brain to get you that? So the first term will always be the square of the first term in the question, right? What would the last term be? 9y squared, right? So that would always be the last. Okay? So how do you get the first? You take this, square it. Last, take that, square it. How do you get the middle term all the time? So 2 times 2x times 3y, right? So this would be 2x times 3y. Okay? So the middle term of the trinomial is always twice the product of the first and last of the binomial. So it is a faster way. So square the first one, put it there. Square the second one, put it there. Take the 2, multiply them each, and multiply by 2, and you'll get the middle all the time. Okay, so how is that going to help us here? Okay, well, the first thing is this a perfect square? Okay, just by looking at this, what do you think the first term would be? A, and the second term? 2, correct? If it worked, what is 2 times A times 2? 4A. Okay, remember, what are the rules? If this is that squared, that's that squared, and if you take 2 times A, sorry, so it says twice the first times the last term. Does this equal this? Yes, so this is a perfect square. Okay, how about B? Why not? Yeah, this is not a perfect square. How about C? So you can do it quick. Let's just test it. Now, what would the first term be if this is going to work? 2x. What would the last term be? Not 9, because there's a minus sign in the middle. It'd have to be minus 9. Now take the two terms. What's 2x times 9? Negative 9. Negative 18x. Multiply that by 2, doesn't give the middle term. Okay, so this is a yes. So it doesn't take that long to test it if you know what to look for. How about D? Okay, well, let's test it. What do you think the first term would have to be? The second term. Doesn't work, right? This would always have to be a positive, would it not? So it must be a positive. So this one's a no. Okay, next one. Now we're going to make them perfect squares. So this is what you do. What would the first term be? Last term. Now we don't know for sure. Oh, we'll make it a plus 10 because there's a plus there. That's how we'll know. So what must the middle term be? 20x. How do you get that? You go 2 times x times 10, and you shove that in there. That'll make it a perfect square. Okay, next one. First term. Last term would have to be minus 10. Just test it. Oh, not test it. We got to actually fill that in. So what's 2 times x times negative 10? Negative 20x. Okay. Let's do this one. What would it be? Plus 6. So 2 times 5x times 6 would equal 60x. This, with the recording, this might even make more sense how we're getting these. Okay, because I'll think I did the 60x first and whatever. So, okay, D. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. So what is the first term? 3m. We don't know the last term, but we can kind of figure it out. How are we going to do that? Divide by 2 and divide by 3m, right? Would we not have to do that? So what would we get then? Okay. So how do we do that? We took 24, we divided by 2, and we divided by 3m, and we got the answer 4. So what's here? 16. Ooh. Oh, I should put squareds here. Maybe just to make. Okay, because 3m, remember, it's 3m times 4 times 2 that equals 24. Right? So maybe, you know, put an asterisk here because if you're making a quiz, I bet you put one of those on there. Okay? Be honest. Okay, so now let's just factor these. Now, there's no reason why you can't go what times y equals 49. What you can do these the way we just learned them. Okay? But just because we know how to do it, oops, what's the first term going to be? 7x. Last term, minus 1 squared. Now, double check if it works. 7x times negative 1 is negative 7 times 2 is negative 14. Okay. Next one. 4 plus 5x. Okay, that is 20x times 2 is 40x. Works. So let's face it. If I had to do like 20 of these, I'd go this way. It's the efficient way. Okay, remember where, yeah, there's lots of ways to do it, but what would be the fastest way? Here's a good one for you. What would this one be? 1/3 A, good, plus 3b. Would it be plus? It'd have to be minus, would it not? So maybe, you know, put an arrow there. If that's a minus, that'll be a minus. Those are the things you write in a study sheet. And then when you look at that study sheet in 3 months, when you have to study for a final exam, there's an arrow there, you got it right back. You probably, like, it does make you mad when you get that wrong on a unit exam when you did get it right at one time. Okay, so 1 to 11, and do the odds. And look at me, I think I even wrote omit 5 and 8. Sometimes I'm too nice, I think. Yeah, A, C, E, G. Well, you should, if you knew the answer to the one word one, you would wonder how much we paid him too.